Welcome once again, everyone, to Elite's Data Center and Cloud Summit 2020, which is being organized by the Banking and Finance Post magazine and Elite's Technomedia Private Limited. I welcome all our speakers, attendees, delegates, and our partners who have taken time out from their busy schedule and participating in today's virtual conference. We had a wonderful panel discussion, the first panel discussion in the before the networking break. Now we have again assembled here for our next panel discussion, which is effects of DX strategies on infrastructure. This is the title for the next panel discussion, which will be moderated by Mr. Aditya Rane, Head of Partnership, covered by Sage. And the panelists for this session are Mr. Prasanna Lohar, Head Technology, Digital Innovation Architecture at DCB Bank, Mr. Tejas Shah, Head IT Infrastructure at Axis Finance Limited, and Mr. Prashant Ahire, Vice President IT at IIFL Finance Limited. I welcome once again everyone in this second panel discussion at Elite's Data Center and Cloud Summit 2020. Over to you, Mr. Aditya Rane.
Start. A very good morning to everyone assembled here. Thank you for joining in. Tejas, Prashant, Prasanna, I appreciate you taking out the time to join us on a busy Tuesday morning, especially with a lot of flux in all our organizations with the remote working from home, the COVID situations, and especially infra teams being pushed into action. So.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting time and interesting moment for us as infra specialists or tech specialists to use the broader term to look at how the digital transformation has happened in the industry, not just the financial industry. Maybe we could speak about examples out there. But first, I would like to know a little more about how you think about your journey in terms of infra at your current organization or at your past organization, and in terms of what do you feel, maybe there is one word that you would describe at the end about your journey, as well as how infra has come along. So if you could I'll start with Tejas. Tejas, if you could start with a 2-minute introduction of your journey in this space, as well as how you think about this space with just one interesting word.
Thanks, Aditya. Good morning. So I think to start with, I can say that the latest buzzword is digital transformation. And you know that each and every organization is and wants to have this journey to the utmost level. So as in current organization, we are still into many things to be implemented. To start with, we have started with the WhatsApp bots. We have also done the AI automation to some extent, but the journey is quite long for us. And the latest achievement, if you say, is I think it's common and everyone has adopted, is the WhatsApp chat. If you see each and every retail companies or whichever company you name, there is a bot on the website or on the you can say WhatsApp reply, like many telecom service providers also are giving statements on the fly. So we have just started that, and it's a long journey, but I can see that many things has to be implemented, and I think the key word is adoption to change is what I feel.
Right. Right. And Tejas, can you shed a little more light about your journey in terms of Axis or before Axis? How you have seen infra? What's been your involvement?
So I can say that before Axis, I was in one of the most prestigious private bank, and in that also there was lots of digital, or you can say many advanced technology which has been taken place. But since last 2 years, I've been seeing that my current organization is still growing, and I can feel that it comes mainly from the business end, because you can see that now business is the utmost need that they wants maybe interactive session with the customer, or the omni channel, which is the latest buzzword, that customer should have uh, uh, transparent interaction. Either it is website, or either it is WhatsApp, or either it is customer ticket logging. Everyone has to be on the same page or same channel, and this is what I think we are still in the process, but I think it's a long way to go.
Got it. And thanks, Tejas, to share a little bit about your journey in the past. And you've had this unique experience of working with a private bank and now with Access Finance, and seeing infra evolve. We'll come to you and hear more about that, and try to understand what you use the interesting word omni-channel, how the evolution has happened. But before that, moving over to Prashant sir with IIFL, the name of the company itself speaks a lot in terms of how they have evolved, and we have all been following that journey. But to hear it from you directly would be very interesting. Plus to hear about your journey. So, could you take us through a brief introduction about yourself, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Aditya. Thanks for providing me this time slot and the opportunity to speak with all you guys. Okay, so first of all, Prashant Aire as a brand itself. Okay, I consider myself Prashant Aire equal to the consider IT achieved. That's my branding statement from last 2 decades into the when I was fortunate to work with Dell International. I fortunate to work with Emerson Network Power, Schneider Electric, and Mahindra projects. Okay, so my journey started with design and build data centers. Okay, design and build data center into right from the critical facility till the IT infrastructure. Okay, I was fortunate to build tier 4 and tier 3 data centers for the most of the BFSI and the most of the telecom industry leaders. Okay, I am fortunate to build larger data centers of the good telecom players in the India, which is certified in tier 3 and tier 4. Coming down to the in data center space, my being a certified design and implementation guy, my achievement is that I was fortunate to deploy the IT infrastructures right from the physical 3-tier, 2-tier to the SCI. This is what my journey. Okay, from the digital transformation perspective, my journey started right from the starting the website till the mobile application. Okay, making the customer enable to choose your product through the digital platform. The journey which I started with the IIFL 3 years back, and the journey when I started with the Dell 7 to 8 years back, I can see a drastic, means I can see the paradigms is shifting too fast. Means if the 2 years before you were thinking this is the technology which has to be there, after 2 years you will finding that something is evolving and taking over. Right from the business process management, right from the VM virtualization platform, right from the hybrid cloud, till the now people talks about the omnipresence on a web platform, mobile platform, where not only the web mobile platform, where the people are expecting that overnight adoption or accommodation of the sudden rise of in the access. Okay, with the cyber security people were trying to talk in a 2010 era about only the physical security with the perimeter security. Now we are talking about the firewall and the access, DNS, all these things on the cloud. How we are protecting ourselves from cyber perspective, how we are going to adopt our mobile platform, our applications more secured, authenticated, two-factor. Then there are so many cyber securities in picture. There is the Tejas talks about the RPA, BPM, bots, integration of all the APIs. People are now talking about that somebody else is an expert into that domain. How I can integrate my core platform with that API. how I am going to consume it, and how fast I will consume it. That is the important parameter. Okay?
Absolutely.
So I'm very fortunate with IIFL that I was able to handle the infrastructure build, design, as well as infrastructure service delivery management and the program management of the entire IIFL, all the 5 group companies. Thank you.
Got it.
Over to you,
Prashant,
Ajay.
sir, thank you so much. And you touched upon a lot of these interesting trends, which we'll cover in the 40 minutes that we have on record. But one interesting thing that you mentioned is the world of APIs, which is no longer restricted only to the tech domain. Business users are coming in with the ask of a specific company in cyber security or a specific company that is allowing you to probably integrate a Shopify experience or something else, which is just making their business seamless, which is a very interesting trend which we should definitely talk about. Over to you, Prasanna. A quick introduction about yourself, your journey, and then a couple of lines about how you think about infra at DCB or just in general.
Yeah, so very good morning. I'm Prasanna from DCB Bank. I work here as architecture, innovation, and the digital head. So primarily, Aditi, we are talking about the current situation, right? Post-pandemic and the COVID and the whole situation. How what was the role of infra team, isn't it?
So we could have a general discussion on the digital transformation of infrastructure, but feel free to share your perspective, how you think
so
it will evolve.
So Aditya, I think infra is a backbone, right? For whatever we do it for end user. So end user could be our internal customer or could be our external customer who is utilizing multiple channels. Say example, today we launched our mobile banking app in the month of April. So since then now it is a surge of at least there are around 1 lakh users, right? All of a sudden these surge just because everybody is operating from home and everybody wants everything on digital. It makes sense that we should be ready with the right infra in the back end, right? And the need today is very agile. It's not like that earlier we used to do assessment of infra for 5 years or 2 years and we used to create those hardwares and be available. But today it's like it's a surge. Like you see example in demonetization or today in during COVID, digital use of the digital channels has increased tremendously. So I think at the infra level, we have seen a lot of innovations which has happened in the last couple of years in the Indian banking. So banks are now rearing to go for a cloud kind of applications, right? So say example at DCB, we are almost 90-95% virtualized as far as production servers or test environments are concerned. Some of the key applications yet to do. Why? Because there is your service provider is not ready for a cloud ready app. Say example core banking. If I say even if the Infosys or TCS are ready with the cloud ready applications, they are not that much matured enough, right? So because end-to-end responsibility of any of those performance aspect, either Infosys will take up or a cloud service provider will take up. So that equation is yet to be resolved, right? At a larger scale. So that is how. And then there are other challenges around data privacy or data localization, which is yet to be in the large scale. It should be addressed. So overall, what I want to say that infra, a lot of innovations happen in infra, SD-WAN or virtualization. So most of the banks have adopted these kind of things, or now coming from working from home. So now bring your own device. Those kind of things will be not in banking, but primarily in many organizations they are now adopting that. So in my bank, I think it was the day it was announced. So we'll start lockdown, post lockdown, like for 60-80 seconds we were thinking how we'll do it, but it was a major role of infra team, right? I think the way they efficiently they have made it happen in a couple of weeks. Almost all laptops were ready for all types of users. Okay, so who are working today, say example I am talking from home or being a part of this discussion, it's all because of infra team. So I think importance of an infra team was always there, but then during pandemic, even other departments started appreciating. Yes, if they were not there, I think we would not have to do the robust job. Say it is HR or operations or business guys. So, and I think what we have seen here onwards, based upon the need, now more and more customers are coming onto the digital channel. It becomes very important. How do we monitor these channels? Monitoring for uptime, or monitoring for some frauds, monitoring for utilizations. So I think from here on, it will be more challenging or opportunities journey for infra guys. Say some channel was utilized by 100 users per second, but now it is all of a sudden gone 500. So how do we deploy that infra in agile way, or how do we implement those API banking or open banking or a load balancer in between, where your consumer is becoming more and more agile, right? So today, consumer who was talking to a channel branch or ATM or POS or internet mobile, same consumer is now talking to your Google Pays or Phone Pays or so where I am opening my APIs. So these are just examples, right? From Google and Phone Pay. Like that, now every business model of a bank, mutual fund or lending, everything is going on marketplace.
Right.
So these fintechs are acting as a one of the channel, like internet banking is one channel. If I'm tying up with some company, so now that has become one channel. Like that, I will have hundreds of channels when I'm opening my APIs. That's another challenge which infra team will look at, like how do we secure things. So they have to work closely with security experts within organizations, CISOs, as well as the application teams, and make things more better. Banking today, it's a monotonous banking, but tomorrow it will be omni-channel or open banking or marketplace banking, where I think having the right infra uptimes, be on the cloud, utilize other technology like blockchain or AI, or tomorrow's customers will be IoT customers, right? So how do we be in that era for 5G? So I think every year we always see that 2014 we saw, oh wow, we are really doing good at infra. And in 2020, we always felt, I think we are at par, like we are doing more innovative work in infra. But I think it's a journey. Customer is ever changing, right? Customer changing, and customer is demanding a lot from banks. And if banks are not providing, they are going to non-banking partners immediately. And sometimes customers do not tell you, right? If, say, example, if something is not working in bank A, he will not complain also. He will move on to the bank B. So it's very important to understand the power of analytics. This customer was there. Now he is not there. Why he has switched? So I think customer onboarding, engagement, servicing, customer security, I think all these four aspects has to be taken care by infra, and well supported by application teams, security teams, board members. So I think so in a nutshell, I think post pandemic digital transformations really happened multifold, and infra team had a very major role in these digital transformation. Just imagine, I want to go live with the video KYC in next week, and I'm asking my team, make a UAT server ready or production server ready within no time. So we are blessed with that virtualization, right? It has really helped us to make those server available on the fly. So in a nutshell, hats off to all the infra guys. I think I have seen I can see some of the infra heads. We will hear from them. But I think story for all of us, I think we have done massive work in the last 6, 7, 8 months. So kudos to you all. And let's continue with our discussion.
Absolutely. And, Prasanna, you've opened up a wealth of topics to talk about, right? From unbundling of banks, which is a lot of challenger apps coming in, like the payment apps or wealth management or mutual fund distribution, everything been unbundled. The pace of adoption has gone up multifold, as Prashant touched upon it, as Tejas touched upon it with WhatsApp bots. What I'd like to pose as a question is, while we understand that there is a need for a customer saying that, we need this pace of adoption, how do we ensure that our business stakeholders are in sync with what the customer expectations are? Infra is generally, as Prasanna said, is kind of a backbone, but right now is more on the side of actually doing the work rather than being reactive, we are in this position where we have been proactive in this pandemic time. So how have you made that conversation happen? Was there a framework that you relied on when you went over to your business head and said that this is how we are going to plan to, let's say, take that UAT production server to a production server in X days? Earlier, maybe it used to happen in 20 days. Now we only have to do it in 10 days. How did you, but at the same time as the infra heads, Tejas, were you in the situation where you had to, rapidly innovate given the situation right now? And how did you react to it? That is my question to you, Tejas.
Yeah, so I think rightly said that there was a rapid, in the sense, quick requirement of many things. Like, let's say I want to do some documentation, e-signing thing. Initially, it was on the physical paper or on the scanning type. Now we wanted a application which has to be a digital sign, and it has to go multiple approvals. So I think now requirement is such that even the business guy is coming in the team meeting calls along with the vendors team, saying that I want this. When can you deliver? Apart from giving pressure by the technology team to the partners, business team is also getting involved, saying that now what is the next step? What all things do you require? I want my target rate is this much. Can you achieve it? So giving pressure to the internal IT as well as the partner channels also, they are involving in everything, so that they know that it is right in the first place itself. There is no disturbance, or I can say that there is no time lag. So yes, business is giving too much requirement, and they are saying that yes, it has to be done on the rapid space. Initially we used to do one activity at, let's say, 15 days. Now they want that, why not 10 days, why not 5 days? Start doing it right now, extend some time, do the VAPT scanning, or give the report tonight itself, so that we can clear our AppSec points, and we can make the application live. So there are many hurdles, or you can say InfoSec requirements, which comes up before making the application live. But since there is too much pressure on the business itself, that we want this to be make live so that end customers can start using it. So definitely there is too much change in the approach by the business as well as the IT to how to set up the new application, or you can say the new business opportunity, or you can say requirement given by the organization.
Absolutely, Tejas. And Prashant sir, in a situation like this, with your 2 decades of experience, you mentioned, right, that a business person will come in with his own expectations, or her own expectations, and might not understand the devil in the details, right? When we say that SD-WAN has to be implemented across 50 branches, but when we get to the nitty-gritties of it, we'll find out that there is a missing connection in branch 10 to 40 because somebody was on leave, or those situations happen, right? So in such a scenario, when things are on ground and what the business thinks there's a gap, how have you dealt with such a situation tactfully, but ensuring that the business interests of our organization are kept in mind?
Thanks, Aditya. I will term this situation of in a day-to-day language, that I need infra application or the business solution yesterday, which I'm asking today. That's the situation every business person looks for. So I will bucketize this deployment or the survey, giving the service to my business in a different bucket. First bucket is the infrastructure. So being me as a industry veteran, this bucket can be fulfilled through the different sub component, like multi-cloud hybrid cloud deployment, SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. Okay, so the infrastructure bucket will be this. This bucket can help you if you have a product which is available in the market, but you want to adopt it as it is. Go with either your on-prem infrastructures, or go ahead with your hybrid cloud platform, whichever, your Azure, Google, AWS, or your own virtualized but hosted into the other service provider. So that will help you for faster growth. People are coining up currently XaaS, that means everything as a service, more than a software as a service. Okay, people are talking about everything as a service. So adopt that one for your faster deployment. This bucket. The second bucket is the application, whether to be application or the business processes tool, whether to be buy or develop inside, because most of the banking prefer their core transactions or core values, business process are run on their own product, okay, developed by themselves, and sometimes it is get purchased. So this is the bucket which will decide you whether you are going with the application which is developed by somebody else or whether it is developed by you. In that time, the major important point comes into the application. What is the functionality? What are the process? What is the VAPT? What are how the APIs are integrated? How is the different banking channels are getting integrated? How this is the bucket which I will termed as a important bucket for the business perspective, because business person will understand only this. Then there is a important bucket is the cyber security, information cyber security. So how you are ensuring this application infrastructure is properly safeguarded from the not only from VAPT perspective, right, from the access till the DDoS and all the firewalls, all the things. Okay, so this I will term, if you are able to loop all these things properly, then rest assured you can give the services to your business the way they want. Because suppose tomorrow Sanna is coming, hey Prashant, I need a support, I want video KYC to be deployed by yesterday. I will say, okay, video KYC will be requiring a auto scaling. How I can provide it auto scaling to my customer? Am I able to provide into the on-site infrastructure? Answer is no, because auto scaling required resources. Where I will get it at auto scaling? At what speed I will get it? What is their costing? What is their growth? Everything I have to think, and I have to give it to him. Yes, these are the options available into AWS, Azure, Google, or our own VM platform, and provide it to him. And same time, you must able to backing to him that, okay, because of video, for the video KYC, there is a bandwidth required. What are the bandwidth we have our infra in our branches, or where people are working from home? How they are going to connect? What is the speed is going to get? What are the enhancement we have to require to do into our bandwidth connections, our storage, our backup? That's all things is easily possible by adopting a hybrid cloud.
Absolutely.
This is what my take on that.
So Prashant sir, one interesting thing to note, this year's one of the biggest IPOs in the US market, Snowflake, which was a cloud oriented company. The whole idea is auto scaling, that when the business requires scale in terms of analytics, they've separated out storage and compute. I think in India, hopefully we'll have a challenger soon of our own, which will allow us to enable this and enable our businesses to kind of run on their own for their core processes, as Prasanna earlier touched upon. While core banking would want to go, we will all want to go on the cloud. We keep core banking on site, sometimes with those trade-offs, with the idea that, you know, it might not function well. So we have to ensure that we balance or walk that tightrope very well. So great point on how, you know, we have to translate what the business says in that a simple framework, what you described as XaaS, or translating everything as a service, and being ready a day before, or, you know, period before to estimate what is happening in the industry, so that when the business person comes in, it's great that we have that clarity to proceed ahead with whatever the requirements are, and, you know, at the end our customers happy. Prasanna, what do you can you name or, you know, share an exciting company as the head of innovation for DCB that you came across, without of course naming the company, more on the specifics of how that company interested you? They were doing something really different, which attracted you towards probably considering it for DCB, or in general you were fascinated by how they looked at infrastructure, a young startup or something?
Yeah, I think Aditya, very good question. So we at DCB have a program which is a innovation curation program for external entities. So this program is called as a DCB Bank Innovation Carnival. So here we work closely with startups, some of the corporates and governments and academia, students, almost all pillars of the innovation. So when we look at startups, right? So we invite startups around our problem statements. Problem statements could be how do we have a new business model, or how do we enhance operations, or how do we secure more better for customers, better customer experience. Like that, we have around 30-35 themes, including cyber security and all. So these themes includes how we can shift organization level from one level to another. So through these programs, last 3 years we are running this program successfully. I must have personally met more than 2,000 startups in that era. Now, to be precise, let's talk about infra and relevant things. So one few startups I met which use proper behavioral biometrics, right? So say example, if you are utilizing your mobile phone or your internet banking, so based upon your behavioral biometrics, keystroke pattern, your phone handling pattern, so based upon that, the security is provided to your application. So say example, Prasanna is utilizing one phone, and that phone is suppose Aditya Rane is utilizing. Even if Aditya Rane will put right pin which Prasanna has, but still he will not be able to enter in the application. Why? Because the pattern, the way you utilize it could be, you could be handle it with the left hand, or your pressure of keystrokes could be something different, right? So I think that's one of the startups which we had made, which can help many organizations for security. Other thing, like some of the startups which has helped to do some POC pilot, like somebody is entering the bank branch. Say example, Tejas is entering in the bank branch. So as a branch manager, Prasanna comes out and says, "Good morning, Tejas," without knowing him, right? Why? Because Tejas is an existing customer, and we have taken his facial expressions during the registration. I know, and he is a Tejas. So on my mobile phone, immediately alert comes. Tejas is a high net worth customer. He has done last 10 transactions with Crore Plus, and as a branch manager, I go and greet him, and moreover, I'll tell him, Tejas, you look very stressed. Right, so based upon his facial expression, and I think based upon your last demand of loan or something, this is something which we can offer. So while Tejas goes out of the bank branch, that trigger will go to corporate office by saying that Tejas came in unhappily, and Prasanna as a branch manager or the staff whoever was there has helped really nicely, right? So somebody sitting in a corporate office can see at the end of a day, those many customers came, those very unhappy, and those becomes happy at the end of this. So as an analytics, I can come out in analytics how many branches are really doing good for a customer experience at the branches, right? So that could be another way to look at it. So like that, there are many. And one more thing, like when I was talking open banking, so I met one of the startups in Chennai in year 2017, where GST had came into our life. 17-18, yeah. So GST had, and we wanted to look at some partner where we wanted to, we being a SME bank, we wanted to give a solution to our SMEs for GST filing. So fortunately, I had met across the table and saw the demo. It was really good, and asked him to share his proposal, this and that, and it really went well. So that program is there. We already curated their startups, and opportunity came in, and he was available, right, for making our customers' life very easy. Other innovations like SD-WAN, we are working. We have a lot of manual work, right, at a data center or in operations back office. Say example, addition of users, taking some backups, or doing the reconciliation daily basis. So we at infra, we have identified which are those repetitive tasks, right? Say example, addition of users. So now that is now done by bots. So more than 40 plus applications are now addition, deletion, management of users is done by RPA. And this RPA is not given by those UiPaths or automation anywhere. It is given by startups. So startups who has really started their RPA journey and they want to become tomorrow's UiPath, they may not reach, but at least for such small task, I can really utilize that startup. So these are some examples. Say example on video. So now when we talk about external innovation coming from outside in the startup, at the same time we encourage internal innovation. Say example, one employee came in with idea and saying, this is what something I can do for a bank. And so we have seen similar kind of, now this RPA, the whole portfolio is handled by a guy who was handling email support. Now imagine the kind of a movement of, so what I want to say, when digital transformation happens, we can keep on building right infrastructure, but at the same time, we need to take care of our people. Right.
Absolutely.
So I have hired a RP expert with a high cost and a very good governance and so on. But how do we reskill our existing employees so that we motivate them and take their level to the next level, so that ultimately those employees take organization to the next level?
Absolutely.
So we have taken care of such aspects also, Aditya. I can keep on telling you in what all areas in contact center how we have done the conversational bots or chat bots or multilingual things, or you talk about an HR, like how we are onboarding employees on and making out life easy with the eKYC or a PAN kind of APIs. Recently we launched a product so-called Zippy. So Zippy is a product wherein customer can come and do the customer onboarding with Aadhaar and a PAN within a matter of the speed he has on his internet and mobile app or internet, and followed by he can completely do the video KYC. So there and there. So the process where I'm going, giving the application form, or he's coming to branch, and then collection of those KYC document at his home, so which is handled by multiple people. So that is handled by customer itself. And at the end, it's like it takes around 5,000 to 6,000 rupees to open a bank account on an average in a bank. I'm saving that, although there is a cost behind infra and those things, but we are saving a lot on and similar kind of other. See, if I do something for one business unit, other business unit have an idea. Okay, now IT team can really do wonders into other units also. Similarly, so we have every unit comes and demands, right? So these are all few things which we are working on. So under Innovation Carnival, we are seeing how we are partnering with other corporates. So we partner with NPCI, IBM, Microsoft. So every Infosys, these units, these companies have their own innovation units. Like, so I'm an advisory for Infosys for per se, or I'm working closely with IDRBT for their fintech forum. So this collaboration is another era, right? So I think just imagine, Aditya, like, can we really imagine our life the way we used to live in 2005 or 2010? Without collaboration, I don't know what other bank is doing and what other company is doing, right? I'm just managing my data center, my infra, and I'm just reading some books and doing some my own work with some. So gone that era, right? So we need to talk with the we need to talk with the Prashant. How are you doing? These are what all best practices we are bringing on. I think the forum or this conversation which you elates and everybody's bringing, and plus moreover. Collaboration is era this onwards. So what I want to say, we keep on collaborating at a DCB bank, and we feel that success of any organization, it all depends upon here onwards. In 2020, at least within a bank, we have seen number of collaborations. So the business team, IT team is always a friction, right? But I think during pandemic, we have seen these teams are coming together. What we have seen, startups coming together and helping each other, right? So I think collaboration is a mantra. Here onwards, success of your company depends upon how your each employee collaborate with other co-partner within that bank or outside of the bank. So example, it depends upon how Prasanna is collaborating with other banks and seeing how industry is moving and bring on those best practices within my organization. That will help organizations. I think that's so that is why this Innovation Carnival has really helped every employee to understand power of collaboration. So absolutely. I can give examples like many startups with whom we are working on open banking or on security or on infra side, customer onboarding, which has really helped our journey to become make smooth. So Aditya, this is in a nutshell some of the thoughts from my side. So happy to hear from other experts.
Right. So you touched upon this really interesting trend about conversational chatbots, and not just in banking. I think banking was a laggard there in terms of adoption. Already before that, a lot of consumer apps like Zomato or anything, even if your order is delayed on a Swiggy, you can just chat with a bot now, and then they connect you after the query is resolved or not resolved. Depending on that, they will have the second set of customer journeys where you'll talk to an actual person. By introducing this, as a friction, or you even taking something else, they've managed to do a lot of automation and saving time for a lot of these menial tasks. So Tejas, you mentioned earlier about WhatsApp being an integral part of going about it. Can you tell me about how you evaluated conversational chatbots, especially given the wrap around security, right? You have to be cognizant of a customer's data. They might share a lot in financial services, like their personal details. How did you think about conversational chatbots, which is a very prime focus of digital transformation in organizations, and the overlap of security at Axis?
Yeah, so I think in general, you can say that the first step would be the bots, and then we come to the next step is like WhatsApp chats, wherein you can say there are two types of things. There is one which is like only one-way communication, wherein you ask for a bank balance, or you can ask for a statement. But if you want two-way communication, like if you ask query, and there are lots of builds which has, like you can say, a lot of algorithm which has been built, like any keyword, and they come out with the answers. So as of now, we have started with one-way communication. Now going forward, there will be two-way, wherein you must have seen that in case bots or the are not able to answer, then they transfer to manual agents. So this is, I think, very you can say not new, but almost used everywhere. But to make it implemented in the live segment, there are lots of you can say infosec requirement which comes in. Like you can say that basic thing like database encryption, or maybe you can say AppSec clearance, or any like you can say that let's say if there is any database, or you can say any database customer information, we need to ensure that it is masked, so that in case of any theft or anything, it has not been you must have heard the latest case of data theft of the databases.
Big basket.
So, yeah. So that is, so we have to ensure that each and every, even in this at the server level, we need to ensure that there are two-factor authentication, so that there is no compromise from the external hacker or any internal thing also. So we have to ensure that there is new way wherein we also adopted a new way calling that end user login to the system by biometric login. So one would be the AD login, and second is the biometric login. This is the new way which we have done the innovation, wherein the critical user has been given the login, so that at least apart from the SMS, which may be compromised, but at least in the biometric login, you will not able. We need your presence to log into the system. There are other ways like local encryption, hard disk encryption, server encryption. So all those we also have implemented syslog, wherein any unwanted or behavior which is unusual, it has been captured. So to make the application live, there are lots of infosec priorities and requirements which we need to ensure. But the business at the end of the day needs to ensure that the application is available for the end user, but in the backend we need to ensure that each and everything is in place, so that at least there is no compromise or no backhole created for the theft. That's Absolutely. What my view is.
Absolutely, and that security is paramount. We can't move ahead with or without any new transformation without considering the basics and then the advanced concepts, and then trying to see how we can work with business. And Prashant, just a question to you over collaboration, and Prasanna touched upon it. I mentioned how we are not competing anymore, we are collaborating. In this process, we see a lot of these startups who have this move fast and break things ideology. In such scenarios, they could skip the ways that a bank would expect, or a financial institution would expect, in terms of they might not have the right SOPs, standard operating procedures, or anything around protocols and controls. how do you think about partnering with such a company where you definitely need their services, but you also need to ensure that they have these prerequisites in terms of controls that they follow? How do you not compromise their agility and enhance your agility? That is the question.
Absolutely. Very nice question, Ms. Aditya, but I will support Prasanna's thought process the way he has put forward for the discussion. Collaboration. Collaboration is an important mantra currently in a digital era. Tomorrow, for the readiness of the tomorrow, today we must able to collaborate. Being IFL guy, I have seen IFL culture where our chairman itself promote for the fintech organization support. So we ensure that IFL itself as a core value, we support the fintech organization. They comes together to support us and we support them. So what me as an individual, I learned from this, that if you want to run fast, let's run together. How to run together? By ensuring that he will also win and you will also win with the respect to the agility. You must able to give them a thought process, how you are gain the experience in the past with respect to the business processes, and take his agility or his experience or his new thinking capabilities with respect to technology, with respect to the innovation, and group it. So somewhere he might be ahead of your curve or you might be ahead of your curve. So mix it, intersect it in a right position in the same manner the way you want your business to be grow. So collaboration is very, very important. I have seen, means I will not able to name here, we are implementing VoiceBot with the capability of deep machine learning, analytical, as well as a conversation bot, which will not only work on a straight through process, but it will work on a non-straight through process also. So we are aiming by taking new organizations for deploying VoiceBot. Email bots and everything I have deployed with the giants, okay, with the industry veterans organization. But VoiceBot, sincerely, I am deploying with the help of very small organizations, and I am very proud for them the way they have deployed it in a faster manner in my environment. Okay, so collaboration, I will once again say, it is a need of hour. Thank you, Aditya. Over to you.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean that's in a way it's like taking a child and teaching them next steps, right? The parent would ensure that the child doesn't stop running or doesn't stop riding a bicycle, but at the same time, how to ride a bicycle, you're just there at that point in time. And it's a very interesting way of sharing that intersectionality and how we can ensure that their S-curve, on the S-curve where maturity, adoption, and growth, all those things are there. You intersect, you come in at the right time, and you don't hamper their growth. But at the same time, from a time perspective and a security perspective, you're working with them to ensure everything is going through smoothly. So we're just about to enter closing remarks, and we'd love to chat, and this been a very engaging discussion. We'd like to hear about more your experience about how the current after the COVID scenario to the next 5 years or 10 years out. Prasanna first, then Tejas, and then Prashant sir. How do you think about infrastructure and customer transformation or digital transformation happening in the next 5 years out? And then we'll wrap.
Very interesting question for a closing remark, Aditya. Typically, how we have an infra today, how we are practicing infra at all, or it all depends upon how your consumer is moving. So today we are at a 4G era, right? So tomorrow, maybe after 2 years, we'll be land up in a 5G era. That's one of the radical change agent for infra. So today we operate on cloud computing. Tomorrow it will be quantum computing, right? Today we operate in a client server model. Tomorrow it will be blockchain based model. Today we have a mobile as a one of those channel, right? Tomorrow you will have a not only mobile but augmented reality, virtual reality. Those holograms will become tomorrow channel. So the consumer is moving ahead. So now this mobile was there or is there. So tomorrow, maybe after 5 or 10 years, we will talk about we used to carry a dabba, right? We used to carry a mobile phone. So now everything will be wearable, right? Your wearable gadgets, your talking gadgets, your shirt, your shoes, everything will be wearables. Everything will be on a Internet of Things. So tomorrow's customers are machines. Tomorrow's customers are not only humans, but combination of your smart car, your smart home, your smart refrigerator. Those will do the electricity bill payment automatically by themselves. The way we will, your car will do the insurance automatically every month or every year. If it get damaged, automatically it will get amount automatically in your account. So that is a customer demand tomorrow, and customer would like to have everything autonomous. So today we are at a collaborative era, but tomorrow's era is autonomous, where your technology like blockchain, AI, quantum computing, IoT, AR, VR. So those are tomorrow's technologies will become a normal technology in the next 3 to 4 years. So in a nutshell, what I want to say, infra team should keep eye on these technologies and always work closely with the business and the IT teams so that they meet expected infra to the in interest of the customer experience. So for that purpose, reskilling of existing employees, infra teams, adopting best practices, practicing it immediately, doing a proof of concepts, and slowly relating pilot, and be ready for next generation of customers. That is what I can say.
Absolutely.
In a nutshell.
Absolutely. And thanks, Prasanna sir. There was interesting trends that you highlighted, and it was just very imaginative to think about these startups, what they are doing. It is very inspiring for us to go back and incorporate those practices. Thank you so much. Tejas, over to you.
Yeah. So I think I agree with Prasanna. So a lot of things are after post-COVID. So a lot of organization has now understand that not only work from home is the new trend now, but a lot of things has been already done, which the company or the organization was planning, maybe a 5-year plan or 3-year plan. Now what that has been done on the very quick span, like many application has been onboarded on the mobile, so that all the internal users can now use the application. Server access has been given from the work from home. VDI has been implemented, and I think a lot of technologies which are currently in trend, like SD-WAN, which is already happening for many of the organization. And I think everything has been going on very rapid speeds. But yes, I agree. Currently, the technology which has been in demand right now, five years down the line, there could be something new which can be which has to be keep on implementing. So I think instead of 5 year, we can keep 2-year plan. What are things new are coming up? What the customer or the business requirement comes up. So basis that we have to keep on evolving new things. We have to keep on asking new requirement. We have to keep asking our partners that what all new technologies you can do as per our business requirement. They can maybe develop anything which our business or the customer needs. And yes, definitely 5 years is very long term vision, but at least 2 years we can see that total things currently which has been done, we can go one level up and make sure that customer gets the total benefit out of what they need. That's what my take
absolutely is. Over to you, Prashant.
Thank you. So Aditya, my dear friends Tejas and Prasanna has very well articulated. The journey of digital transformation or digital adoption is a never ending. A sustainable growth with the positive mindsets and adoption of the virtual reality or the things which we are not imagined till on a faster scale is a need of a digital transformation. And we will see that we might be coming in 2025 or 2030 a virtual reality which will able to not only work on a AI, ML, bots, connectivity. It will go beyond today's imaginations, where we might be thinking that connections or services which is enabled like a human brain. You will get a services which you are just imagining by next 10 years. That is what I can say.
Absolutely. And between the three, if I may conclude, and is that the idea of wearables is no longer going to be a distant reality. It's going to be with us soon enough. What they just said, that no longer we can have that mindset that, you know, we are looking at a 5-year horizon. Changes with us, it's running along with us, and the pace of growth that we have and our mindset, as Prashant sir said, that positive mindset is necessary. Collaboration is a key theme, that we need to look at any new company not as a competitor which is going to erode our competitive advantage, but rather as something that we need to carry along and make sure that it's more synergy driven. Very interesting insights, and you know, to conclude in a very unconventional way, and with ELETS, thank you so much, ELETS, for giving us, and Mansi for inviting me. This is the first time I'm doing this virtually instead of being there on stage, so it's a different experience, and that also tells us that, you know, how infrastructure is evolving for all of us. Finally, this seems to be like playing that game Temple Run in a way on mobile. You know, you're running continuously, you're trying to avoid obstacles, which is in the form of something that will hamper your growth. You have to ensure that you're keeping on jumping at the right point in time to ensure you get those gems and reach, you know, highest score for each of your organizations, at the same time avoiding any cheat codes in the middle or using any hacks. To Tejas, Prashant sir, Prasanna sir, hope you have a great week ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aditya Rane, for moderating the session on effects of DX strategies on infrastructure. I thank you for navigating this session very well. I also like to thank Mr. Prasanna Lohar, Head Technology Digital Innovation Architecture at DCB Bank, and Mr. Tejas Shah, who is Head IT Infrastructure at Axis Finance Limited. I thank Mr. Prashant Ahire, Vice President IT at IIFL Finance Limited. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this session and sharing your knowledge and expertise on this subject at ELETS Data Center and Cloud Summit 2020's second panel discussion on effect on DX strategies on infrastructure. Thank you, everyone.